Craig Moore is an up-and-coming Dublin filmmaker who's worked in successful films like Jacob Wrestling with the Angel, which was featured in the Short Film Corner in Cannes, and Any Last Words, that also featured in Cannes, but he wrote, directed and produced it. This year he produced a film called Monged, a dark comedy about three guys and a supply of drugs to get through. He also produced the short An Irish Father, which looks to take the festivals by storm next year. It features Jared McSorley, you might recognise his father Todd Unctious, and it was written and directed by Carl Finnegan. And here's how I got on with him. Craig Moore, I've only really been following Irish film property for the last 2 years now, and your name seems to pop up all over the shop. You're a busy man. How did you get into film in the first place?
Well, I started studying film in college. I did a film studies degree in Dublin Business School. Started in 2011. The first short I ever did was with Bertie Brosnan, Jacob Wrestling with the Angel. That was 3 years ago, nearly now, and that was kind of my first big thing. When I started on that, I was again a set photographer, but I made sure to make an impression.
Yeah,
and soon I ended up on the production team, which was great because Bertie was very experienced, and it was great that he bestowed his confidence on me so quickly, you know, going from stills photographer to being a producer on film.
Yeah, exactly. And after that, I mean, he's gone on to make Sin Eater, and he's done things in Cannes, and you've done well yourself afterwards.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, how many films have you had in Cannes now? This stage, maybe two. Was it?
I've had two. Yeah, I've had two. Jacob was the first, and then Any Last Words was second. That was this year.
Yeah, and of course that film you directed, you wrote it, and produced it yourself as well, didn't you? That must have been exhausting.
It was one of those kinds of exhaustion that no matter what, it was still really enjoyable, even though you hadn't absolutely no energy left. I mean, the real achievement of that film is because it was made for so little. I mean, we managed to make a film that looked like it cost 10 grand for 600 quid.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I mean, it utilised everything that you can see in kind of high-end big budget stuff. It had drone camera work and pretty high production values.
Yeah, and because you did it all yourself, do you think the trade-off with having more control, maybe, do you think that it's worthwhile, or do you think you would prefer having a big team but maybe have less influence?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a time and a place for both.
Yeah.
On that, because it was a passion project for me. Yeah. The key point was that there were people I'd worked with before, and there were people that I trusted. I mean, Angel Kreuter, who produced it with me, he was a co-producer. He was superb. You know, I'd done music videos and stuff with him, and then obviously working very closely with Graham and George, the actors, to kind of craft the characters. When it came to actually shooting the film, that was actually the easiest bit.
Yeah.
Even though we suffered through horrendous weather conditions, I don't think the two lads have actually forgiven me for what I put them through over those few days.
I mean, your team weren't too disillusioned with you. I mean, you teamed up with Graham Early from Any Last Words again for Monged this year.
Yeah,
and that's finished the festival rounds now, hasn't it?
Well, for this year, yes, we've got a few more hopefully coming up now in the new year in the States. So we're hoping to do pretty well out of that, and hopefully get a bit of attention for the film. It's very easy to make a film. It's the hard part is getting people to watch it. Going
back to Monged again, actually, the name. Did you get any negative feedback over the name?
Originally, we got a couple of not even negative, but a couple of people were quite taken aback by it.
Yeah, really.
A lot of people didn't realise that it was based on the play. I mean, it's an adaptation of the play by Gary Duggan. Gary actually had a hand in screenplay with Barry Dignam.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the title, it is kind of a controversial one, but it was controversial back then as well. But
of course, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad thing to be controversial.
It's an edgy film.
It is, yeah, so yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It's got edgy themes.
It's got edgy themes, and it's a comedy, not really like anything that has been made here in a while. I mean, on the surface, it kind of looks like it just another drugs movie.
Yeah.
But there's actually quite a lot to it. It's a real pulpy movie.
Yeah,
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I spoke to Carl Finnegan a good few months ago now, actually, and at that stage he just announced Jared McSorley for a film you'll be involved in, or you were involved in, An Irish Father, and you're the executive producer there, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the plot of the film, or what's it about?
An Irish Father?
Yeah.
An Irish Father is basically about a man who is down on his luck. He's lost his job, his wife has left him, and his counsellor recommends that he rekindle his relationship with his father, who he hasn't seen in a decade. So that's basically the story. That Jared plays the father, and Carl is the son. So it's a short, it's only 10 minutes long.
Yeah. So and how's that film coming along now? Is it nearly ready to go?
Yeah, it's ploughing along. We're nearly at the end of post production, so it should be ready to go now in the new year. We're hoping to hit up quite a lot of festivals. I can see it doing very well.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of it. We put a lot of work into it. For it's a short film, but for a short film, it took a crazy amount of work to put it together. And Carl especially put his heart and soul into it. I mean, he wrote it, essentially produced it as well, and he directed, and he stars in it. So it's very much his baby. And
but even working with Jared McSorley, quite a big name actor here, like.
Yeah.
Was that more of a thrilling experience, or was it a nervous experience? How did you feel about it?
It was a mixed bag.
Or had you worked with someone like that at that stature before?
No, I hadn't. He would have been kind of the first kind of big actor that I'd worked with. I remember when Carl told me that he had been in touch with him, and I was kind of like, really? Wow.
Yeah.
But it was a mixed bag. I was quite nervous. I remember the first time meeting him in town for coffee, and I actually didn't know what to say, because I was like, there's Father Todd Umptious sitting across from me, or John Gilligan, or I had all these roles that he'd done in my head all the time. But he doesn't kind of play it up. He's a very kind of
very down to earth.
Yeah.
So are you looking to write or direct anything soon, or do you miss being the main input in a film? Like, how much control do you have as a producer? That's what I meant to say.
Quite a lot.
Yeah,
I like to kind of talk to everybody. Some people just go in and do their job. I mean, a producer would be kind of the numbers guy and the organisational guy.
Okay.
But I quite like talking to everybody. I mean, on Monged, we all were kind of producers in a way.
Yeah.
Because there was 3 directors, so they all kind of worked together, and similarly they worked with me, and we all kind of had an input on it.
So if someone wanted to put in a giant CGI dragon that'll cost millions,
we'll tell them to grow up, or go home. Luckily, nobody wanted a giant CGI dragon in Monged. There was no kind of dream sequences or not. They were taking different kind of drugs.
Yeah.
But I like to have a kind of an input in everything.
Yeah. Are you looking to make anything soon, or write direct?
Yeah. I'm kind of I'm trying to write a feature, and I have one script nearly done that I'm kind of putting on the back burner because it requires a bit more development on the logistical side. Money, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
But I want to work with Graham, and Graham's kind of itching to work a bit more. And I'm actually doing a feature in February. It's a 48-hour challenge. We're going to try and make a feature film in 2 days.
Okay.
Monged was, to provide a bit of comparison, Monged was done in 18. So so we're going to go a bit mental and try and make a film in 2 days, and we're shooting that in Bray.
So for that, you're going to have to shoot to edit, definitely.
Yeah,
that's
it's going to be a bit mental.
I recorded like a 5-minute insert for the DCU's 24-hour broadcast, and it took me like 2 days to edit. 7 minutes. So that kind of puts into the context for me anyway.
It'll be fun. If it doesn't work out, it'll be a beautiful failure.
Exactly.
And if it does, it'll be a beautiful success.
At least you try. That's what
it's kind of it's always worthwhile to challenge yourself.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Craig, thanks very much for coming on.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thank you for having me.
There was a Christmassy feeling on Monday the 7th of December, and Dublin's present was a pair of Hollywood stars hitting the red carpet. The premiere of Daddy's Home took Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg to the Savoy on O'Connell Street. Despite the rain, they were greeted by a rousing applause.
The lights are turned way down low. Let it snow, let it snow.
Dublin is close to Will Ferrell's heart, this being his 12th visit. When asked if it was worth coming back to Ireland every time, Ferrell said this.
You know, absolutely. I think, you know, it makes a difference when we have the time in our schedule to be able to come and promote, you know, films in Europe, and especially, you know, Ireland has been so good to me and the comedies I've made that it's always great to come back here.
And he had a message for DCU students.
Yeah, just stay in school as long as you can.
Don't do drugs.
Because there's no jobs out there. Okay? Just get multiple degrees.
This isn't the first time Ferrell and Wahlberg teamed up, sharing the screen in 2010's The Other Guys. Despite the film pitting them against each other, Wahlberg enjoyed working with Ferrell.
Will's fantastic. He's just such a fun guy to be around. You know, it's with him, it's not stressful at all. You know, I mean, he takes the work seriously, but we want to make sure we have a lot of fun. And you know, his comedy comes from a nice place. He genuinely likes to make people laugh, which is not the case with all comics. Some are a little more dark than others.
It wasn't just the stars at the movie that attended the premiere. Louis Walsh's act Hometown were there, and their singer Dean Gibbons was just as excited as the fans.
We're massive Will Ferrell fans and Mark Wahlberg fans who were like, I have to go to this if it comes to here, and they were like, yeah, well, it's come to Dublin, you need to go. I was like, yes, delighted.
Daddy's Home will be released in Irish cinemas on December 26th. Here's a clip of what's to come.
If this guy was my wife's ex, I'd put a bullet in my skull.
So the king raised his mighty sword, and he rained steel down upon the Step King. But the Step King blocked it with his shield. Step King was very upset, because when the real king pulled out his sword, it was long and shiny. All the maidens in the land preferred the more average size Step King's sword, because it knew how to listen.
Kiefer, thanks for coming on.
No problem.
You have a film on BBC Three, so that'll be next week.
It'll be the week after, yeah.
Probably. Okay, then. And that's the series is called The Fear, anyway. So how did you get involved in that?
It was actually one of my friends found a poster for the competition, and they just posted it onto my Facebook. And me and my girlfriend, we have this feature that we've written. Obviously, this competition calls for a short film.
Yeah.
So what we did is we wrote a prequel to it.
Yes.
So we wrote that anyway, and we just decided to go ahead with it and just see how we could do.
Yeah. So how did you finding a prequel for your feature?
It was. I mean, like the feature we have, it's called the Dark Room, but it's the story that it is. It's about this evil camera. If you boil it down,
Okay.
So it was pretty easy to get a prequel to it, because it's one of those stories where it's kind of it kind of keeps going, if you know what I mean. Like, because basically what it is there's the camera who it's possessed by an entity, and then what the camera does is when the people come in and they start using the camera, the entity gets released, and then the person using the camera ends up getting sucked into the camera, and then the previous entity is released.
That sounds actually awesome. And so, what's different between the feature and the prequel? Is it the prequel just saying how the
prequel is, in a sense, it's how everything started.
Yeah.
So it's how the monster, I suppose, of the feature film came to be, and that's explained in the prequel.
So how did that work? Did you just pitch your idea for the short to BBC, or did they?
No, so it's
or did you have it made?
No, because it's the competition is just make your film and enter it.
Okay.
You know, so there wasn't any we didn't have to talk to BBC at all before we put it in. We just submitted it, and then we just waited to hear back, basically.
Yeah, and if making a film like that, is it hard to fund things like that?
Definitely hard to fund. I mean, not even just. I mean, with this film, we didn't really get much funding. We didn't really fund at all. It was just me and my girlfriend, and then we got 3 actors.
Yeah.
And I had a couple of guys from my college come down and help me as well. So we didn't really spend any money doing anything as far as this film is. But I mean, definitely for funding, because I am doing other films. I have my grad film that I'm currently working on, and that's. I think I might have been spending about close to 10 grand on that so far.
Oh wow!
And that's solely just from my own pocket, other people's pockets. You know, it's not a. So, because I'm a student, the Irish Film Board don't really help you out. They don't really fund students, which is.
You think that they should do something about that?
I don't know. I mean, in a way, I can kind of see where they're coming from, because I mean, you're a student, you're still learning.
You're untested.
Yeah, I mean, for the Irish Film Board, they want to see that you can actually produce stuff of good quality. And I suppose when you're in college, you're only starting to get your show reel together, so they have no idea what kind of work you can produce.
Yeah, it's kind of like getting your first job. Like, you need experience to get the job, but to get the job,
you need experience. Yeah, it's exactly the same, you know. But I mean, that's what college gives you. It gives you that experience, you know.
Yeah. And where are you studying? Actually,
I study in Biffy down in Bray.
Okay, very good. And so, what's the name of the film actually on BBC Three? We haven't mentioned it
yet. The name of the film that's in the competition is called Capture.
Capture. Okay. Yeah. Has anything popped up in the back of that, or are you expecting?
Nothing as of yet. I mean, I assume once the series comes out, we'll probably get a lot more recognition, because at the minute we can't even release the film because it needs to be screened on BBC first. So no one's even seen the film yet.
Is there a lot of that red tape going on?
Not really. No, it's actually okay. It's just, I mean, it's typical stuff. You know, it's
pretty
just
straightforward. Yeah.
You can't show the thing before it happens, type of thing. You know, so like once the show's over, we'll be able to plaster it all over everywhere and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, if we do get anywhere in the competition, I mean, that'll definitely help with the likes of getting funding later down the road for other projects and stuff like that, because there'll be some type of success from the film, you know, so people will see that I can actually get a film to go somewhere.
That'll help out your roadmap to make your feature anyway.
Definitely, yeah.
That you're planning. What would be your main ambitions? Where would you like to be, and what would you like to be doing in maybe 2 years' time?
Ideally, I mean, I want to be working in the industry. Ideally, making my own stuff. Yeah. But I mean, that really just depends. I mean, like 2 years is, in terms of film, 2 years isn't really that long of a time away. I mean, 2 years from now, I could still be working on a project that I start now. You know, I mean, like I mentioned, my grad film, it's called Ruin. I've been working on that for 3 years.
Yeah,
and that's only a 10-20 minute short film.
Can you tell me a little about it, or is it?
Basically, so it's called Ruin. It's about I've set it back in kind of a medieval time period.
Okay.
And it's about it's a pretty simple story. It's just really about a guy, his family gets killed by a dragon, and he goes off to exact revenge on the dragon. So
that's pretty cool. It's like was it Skyrim?
I suppose you could say it's something like that, but
or maybe not.
It's live action.
Yeah,
with I have an animated dragon in it as
well. Oh, okay, CGI as well. There's got to be production values in that to get all that together.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's why I've been spending 3 years doing it. I mean, I taught myself how to animate to build the dragon.
Yeah.
So I did. I started that in first year, and so I'm in my third year now. So I'm just.
And you're still working on it.
Still working on it. So, but it's coming together.
Yeah.
It's coming together now.
Even a little bit, like the costumes and stuff like that. That's gotta be.
The costumes I've gotten from Clave. This guy named Dave Swift. He has like a Living Irish History company.
Okay.
And he's got like period pieces that look amazing.
Yeah, there's always people ready to help you out.
Yeah, if you have the money.
If you have the money, exactly. And so going back to Capture, what time is it? What do you think it'll be on at, actually, on BBC Three? Okay,
so it'll be on every Monday on BBC Three at 10:30.
Okay, that's cool. Kiefer, thanks very much for coming on.
No worries.
And we'll have a look at Capture on the 26th. next up we have Mikael from Dublin Webfest. It's a film festival taking place between the 20th and the 22nd of November in Dublin. Here's how our chat went. Mikael, thanks for coming on to the show. And what makes Dublin Webfest different from other film festivals in Ireland, or different from other film festivals anywhere?
Good afternoon, Ryan. So the Dublin Web Festival, it's the first Irish web series festival in Ireland. And why a Webfest? Because now everybody's online. So before in the 80s, people were doing short film and they were waiting for film festival. Nowadays, everybody is online on YouTube or Facebook and or Vimeo. And now, it's better to showcase your work in a big screen. So that's why we are here to showcase in a big screen some web series and music videos.
And so, what sort of attention is this style of filmmaking getting? I mean, how big is it online? Online,
so because nowadays people watch content all day long on their phone or tablet. It's good, I think, for one weekend to gather in one place and to discuss about the future of filmmaking, or to discuss about new projects and all. So I think it's very good for everybody, like filmmakers, web series makers, or story lovers. If you like a story, if you like comedy or drama, and if you want to have a new idea of what is happening in Dublin, you can move up to the film base and you're gonna enjoy the screening or master classes.
Yeah. And so, what sort of people are you getting in to talk, or are you doing master classes, as you said?
So it's gonna be in November, the 20th of November, 21st, 22nd. So for one weekend in Film Base, we're going to have master classes producing one with Edwina Forkin from Zanzibar Film. We're going to have the great director from Republic of Tali, Conor McMahon. And we have makeup master classes. We're going to have screenwriting as well. We're going to have comedy script writing, how to develop, for example, a comedy character or comedy situation. We're going to have Tony Kelly from the award-winning series, The Earler. We're going to have great comical series as well from the UK, from France, from US.
That's a massive amount of events for such a short time, anyway.
We have more than 60 shows or 70 shows. Comedy most of the time, but we're going to have drama. We're going to have LGBT music videos. We have a lot of things, yeah.
So, what sort of things have you got for students, or is that just kind of?
So for the students, is good because we have, of course, full pass, okay, and 20% discount for students.
Okay, and
so you can drop us an email. I can give you the email address, and if you guys are interested in showing up at the film base. It would be a pleasure.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll post that online if you give that to us anyway.
I can give you the email now if you like.
Yeah, sure. Go on.
So it's dubwebfest@gmail.com.
Okay, perfect. Dubwebfest@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And Mikael, thanks very much for coming on. I hope this is a nice little thing to follow the Web Summit anyway in Dublin. So hopefully you guys stay around for next year.
Yeah, we will. The Webfest will stay in Ireland, yeah. It's fine. The Web Summit can fly to Portugal, but we stay in Ireland, it's fine.
We got the exclusive statement there. Mikael, thanks very much for coming on.
Thank you very much. Take care, bye-bye.
I spoke to Richard Keeney, the director of Irish shorts like 2014's Recoil and this year's Late Arrivals. He and his friend Natasha Woe set up Fight Back Films a few years ago, and they've gone from strength to strength. I spoke to him, and here's how we got on. Hi, Richard. So yourself and Natasha Woe are behind Fight Back Films.
Fight Back Films, yeah.
And so the film that you're on the road with now this year is Late Arrivals, and
that's my newest one, yeah.
And it's been around the festival circuit by now. How does it feel whenever these festivals, happily screen your work and say this is good?
It's an amazing feeling, but it's kind of just the luck of the draw sometimes. I've entered it to more than 50 festivals anyway, and just you're really, really hoping to get one. I got a small one in Brazil. That was the second one that I entered, So
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
oh great, this will be the kind of run I'm going to go on. I'll get every second one or something. And then I was waiting for months after that.
But for anyone who hasn't seen Late Arrivals, what is it all about?
So it's basically a father and son from Iran move over to Dublin, and there's this kind of tension between them, and they're not talking about why they moved over, and you start to wonder what the kind of distance is between them, and that's pretty much the whole movie, just trying to figure out what it is that they're not talking about. And I kind of wanted to focus on the silence between them and how silence can be this big thing in father and son relationships, like just not approaching an issue. And it pretty much it works its way up to the climax at the end, where you kind of eventually find out why they moved and why they're in this position of not being able to talk to each other about what happened.
Yeah,
It's pretty simple. I just wanted to do something like 2 characters and only a few locations, something I could make quite cheap, but then like focus on like directing it as well as I could and getting as good performances as I could. So yeah, I don't know. I liked the kind of simple aspect of it.
Yeah. So
That's what I
was kind of the angle you were going to go for, just the simple aspect.
Yeah.
Or so where can we see Late Arrivals next if we wanted to?
If you're in the Toronto area, no. It's well, I'd say it's kind of winding down its festival circuit now. So I'll eventually release it online. But pretty much anyone that's able to like our Facebook page and Five by Films or the Late Arrivals Facebook page, if you send me a message, I can send you a link to look at it. Like you kind of, when you're in the festival circuit, you have to have them password protected, so they're not freely available to the public.
Exactly.
But it'll be released online eventually in the next few months. And then I'll be moving on to the next thing.
This led me nicely into my next question. You put some of your films up for viewing on Vimeo.
Vimeo, yeah.
Is it hard to break even whenever you're giving away the milk for free, if you know what I mean? Or does it help to publicize you?
The thing is with shorts, like, you don't go out to make money off them, because you're never going to make money off a short. There's no way of really kind of getting some kind of revenue back from it, so you've really got to rely on the favours of people that are helping you make the film, and also just your passion behind it. In the end, your end goal is just to have a finished product, and if you're down money at the end of it, that's part of the fun of it, really. You what you want to do with a really successful short will end up winning a few awards, or it can be like Oscar nominated or something. That's like the top for a short, but you don't really ever make money off it. You just want to meet the people that you can go on and make a feature, and eventually start making money off. But it was never really the main goal for me to make money off it. I just want to be able to actually complete something and not be completely broke at the end of it.
So what's your main expense then as a filmmaker? What's the biggest hit you have to take?
Well, this short wasn't that expensive. This short was about €500, and we did it over the course of 3 different days. 3 days over the course of April and March this year. That didn't cost us a lot at all, because I kind of wrote it with the budget in mind and just kept it to like little places that I knew I could secure, like the locations.
How much of filmmaking is just cutting your teeth, trying to learn the basics?
Oh, that's pretty much my whole experience with filmmaking, because a lot of stuff I learned from like teaching myself from watching films or reading up on stuff, or the 1 or 2 practical courses I had in college, but the rest of it is just going out there and making a ton of mistakes, which is the best thing in the world, because when you make the mistakes, you have this great kind of access to the knowledge of what you're not going to do next time. It's just perfect, and you don't want to go out there and just make a film and everything goes perfectly, because that's weird. Like, if you go there and everything goes perfectly, then something's definitely gone wrong in another way.
It's like Leonardo DiCaprio with when he cut his hand and Django.
That's just dedication. That's just him kind of going with it, and like I think he probably enjoyed that a bit more, because it kind of feels a bit more authentic or something. Like all those things, you kind of have to roll with the mistakes, definitely, and they make you kind of a bit stronger as to what you're going to make next, and that kind of thing. But that's the most valuable thing. Just make as many mistakes as you can if you're doing those things. And also, I know a lot of people that want to make films, but they're terrified of making a bad film. All you have to do is go out there and just make just anything. It doesn't matter if it's bad, because you're never going to go on and make a film that's even halfway good if you don't start with something that's bad. So like, I don't consider myself to have made a good film yet.
No.
At all, but I just want to kind of at least be kind of improving a bit every time. So
But
I think that's the thing. You just have to go and make mistakes.
How many projects have you scrapped, though? How do you know when to scrap it, when to, it's not...
Well, you mean like actually start shooting and then scrap it all together?
Yeah.
I've never done that. No, I've scrapped a few concepts that I've been writing on.
Yeah.
Like I might finish a script and then go, no, that's not going to work, or halfway through a script, it's not going to work. But once I finish a script and I go into casting and stuff, which has only been about 3 or 4 so far, like that I actually stand behind. But those ones, no, you just have to finish. Because if you don't finish it, then you don't have a finished product behind you. It doesn't even matter if it's really, really bad. At least you have something finished. So you're not really going to be able to have the confidence to move on to something else if you don't have a finished product. And that's my main thing. If you can't finish something, it doesn't matter what it is, it'll be harder to go on to the next thing.
You mentioned briefly there about a feature, maybe 1 or 2 times. Are you planning anything in that sort of a vein?
Well, that's the ultimate goal, like to actually make a feature that you can, not even just make money off, but that's how you're going to get noticed if you have a feature. So my sister's an actress actually, and we've been writing an idea for a couple of years. It just hasn't kind of turned into anything. But I'm really focused on just kind of churning out at least 5 more shorts, kind of work my way up to a feature. But it's something that you kind of have to work on for a couple of years. So even if I start writing it now, I wouldn't want to be finished a script until I was completely happy with it, which could be like 5 years or so.
So have you got any shorts coming up in the immediate feature?
Well, I started writing a new short now. I've been working on the concept for a little sci-fi the last couple of months, and I just started writing it over the weekend, so going to see how that turns out. But that's definitely what I'm going to be working on next. It's like the first kind of, I've written a few scripts this year, and like I said, like with the other ones, they just don't really amount to much, or you can be finished it, but you don't really feel anything about it. And this one's the first I've been excited about, so I think it's definitely what I'm going to be working on next.
Yeah. Well, we'll look forward to that anyway. Richard, thanks very much for coming on.
Oh no, thanks so much, man.
So you're listening to Barometer here on Easy FM. A few weeks ago, a Fermanagh director had his first feature film released here. You might think, okay, Irish film in the cinema, whoop-de-doo. But no, he's gotten international plaudits for it. He's been screened at the Tribeca Film Festival, nominated for a BAFTA. It's been described as Mad Max in the countryside, and its name is The Survivalist. I saw it for myself, and here's what I thought. The Survivalist is less of a tale than a forecast of what's to come. It depicts a world with no oil and an economy which has gone through the floor. People are forced to live through disparaging conditions. The first scene tells you a lot about the world. A man dragging a body through the woods, burying it alive. The main character in this film, the untitled survivalist, is played by Martin McCann. He lives alone in the woods, tending to a farm and killing anyone that comes near. Until now, that is.
Would you be able to spare some of your crop? It's more than enough.
That's what they all thought. 2 women come to his door, seeking shelter. They are a mother and daughter, played by Alwyn Fuere and Mia Goth. The mother offers up the daughter's body in exchange for their stay and a share of the food.
You've been lucky.
It wasn't luck. The film is the feature debut of the writer-director Stephen Fingleton from Fermanagh. He has gotten his fair share of plaudits for the effort, being BAFTA nominated for its standing debut. He says the idea came after he read M. King Hubbard's Peak Oil Theory. It's an intriguing speculation of the human condition when you strip it down. How do we react in that situation? Would we sacrifice our food source for creature comforts? It's not a shy film. It doesn't shield your eyes from full frontal nudity, of which there is a lot. But neither is it gratuitous in any way. The sound in the film is almost completely re-recorded and dubbed in. The attention to detail is striking. Dialogue is sparse in the film, and music is absent completely. Any noise in it is suggesting something. The technique is massaged in nicely by Fingleton. One example of this is the hint that in a different world,
the daughter may have been a musician. Her curiosity for sounds is dropped in at key moments. The film was shot in a forest in Northern Ireland. While some of the cast, like Martin McCann, switched out of their roles often to keep themselves sane, others didn't. Mia Goth told The Guardian that she slept rough for weeks to prepare for the role. She wanted it to feel as authentic as possible. For Irish viewers, it has the added aspect of guessing where in the country the character is from by the accents they carry. If you want an idea of what this film is like, you can watch a previous attempt at it on Vimeo. It's called Magpie and it's 10 minutes long.
So, when did you start making films?
Oh my God! I mean, I could get all wax lyrical and talk about. I started making films kind of in my head back when I was a teenager. But realistically, when did I start making movies? I would say in my early 20s.
Mm. And what made you really want to pursue that path?
Well, when I was a kid, I suppose the whole tradition in Ireland of growing up and, storytelling, and I was fairly obsessed with the kind of 1970s movie brat directors, like the Spielbergs and Carpenters and Scorsese's and Brian De Palmas and people like that. So from a ridiculously young age, I was pretty much ensconced in that world. And, I wrote short stories and I painted, but I realized that everything that was kind of, everything that was kind of I suppose, synthesizing them all together was movies, a love of movies, which was, the primary obsession. So it's one of those cliches. I am one of those annoying guys. I always knew what I wanted to do when I was very, very young. So
everyone was jealous of you, I'm sure.
It's kind of, it hasn't always been a blessing. Sometimes it's a curse, that's for sure.
Yeah. And you mentioned there that you took inspiration from Irish, the ghost story kind of thing that exists here. Your latest film, your first film, I suppose, your first feature-length film, Banshee Blacktop, took a lot from that. Can you tell me a little bit what that's about?
Yeah, it's about a kind of I suppose a misfit loner who used to be, I suppose he may or may not have been a monk on an island, and he's picked up by police in Dublin and interrogated in connection with the disappearance of a young couple on a remote island months before, and he kind of spills his tale, but when he spills his tale, it starts to kind of web in the police around him, and it's, like the notion with Banshee Blacktop is that everyone has a ghost story inside of them. Everybody, no matter how secretive or strange it might seem, everybody's got a story to tell that dealt with at some point in their life the supernatural, or as I sometimes call it, the supranatural, because it just feels so like it's the supernatural that feels natural. So it's not the Hollywood concept of what horror is or the supernatural or anything like that. It's just something that feels literally like it did happen to you. And for that reason, the idea was to, I thought, how can I, conceptualize that and make that an actuality in a movie whereby you don't question the supernatural. It just feels natural, if that makes sense.
Was that hard to achieve?
Yeah, it was. I mean, we shot in natural light, all around the northwest Donegal, parts of Wicklow as well. But we just decided to kind of be very gung-ho about it and be very sincere about it. So the idea was to shoot in natural light, to play with the script when we felt like maybe, it didn't feel right. So there was a lot of toing and froing and working with the actors, which I love. And, even down to, plot points and, certain things that happened in the script, I was extremely open about changing things and roughing things up to make it feel, altogether real. So we broke a lot of rules.
And so, did you have a big team to work with it for this?
No, we kept it small and intimate because we knew we had to move fast, and I wanted it to feel spontaneous. Like, there's a whole kind of slew of horror movies that come out at the moment, and to me personally, I feel like I'm continually lobotomized by them, and I just thought, wouldn't it be great to make I guess ostensibly a horror movie, but something that isn't going to insult people's intelligence, isn't going to have, the same use of music and light and mood as we're all so used to. Yeah, I'm just, I'm like everyone. I mean, I want to see a truly great horror movie. I want to get the feeling I got when I watched, The Exorcist or The Omen or Rosemary's Baby or, the BBC Ghost Stories for Christmas. I want to get that feeling again. It's been such a long time.
Confident words there. Truly.
Yeah, well, the thing is, we definitely, we all set out with that pattern in our heads, and we thought, well, we can at least try. If we fail, we fail, but we can at least try,
Oh, definitely, yeah. And it's good to have that ambition as well.
Yeah. It's like, I know that there's a whole spree of other Banshee movies coming out soon, and they're probably going to be, bigger budgets than mine, bigger names and all the rest. And, instead of being, intimidated by it, I kind of embrace it because I thought that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting that this thing is happening now, So
and they'll all take the same tack, really. And if you find some different way to approach it, it could end up surpassing them all.
Yeah, we would hope. If
you do it right. But anyway, you said you shot on places, scenes, and...
Well, we shot a lot around, the area I was most inspired by was near Muckish Mountain up in northwest Donegal. I think that's what... that place was just... I mean, you feel like you're standing in haunted soil up there. It's just extraordinary. Like, even the first evening we went out in the car just to get a kind of a recce. Although I kind of deviously knew I was going to shoot anyway, I got all the actors out of the car, and there was a certain kind of dusk light up there I haven't seen in any part of Ireland. There was nobody around, of course, and I just thought, well, we should shoot right now, and of course they're all looking at me like, what, now? I'm like, yeah, let's shoot right now. Let's do it now, because it's not going to be like this tomorrow, so we need to do it now. So we had that freedom to kind of utilize all that landscape up there, any which way we liked. And of course, at the end of the day, natural light, is it's the most evocative light. You just have to get up early in the morning to capture, or you have to hang around later at night, or you have to make a concerted effort to capture it. But if you do, it's worth it. Like, I know there's a lot of talk at the moment. There's a lot of buzz around The Revenant, the new Leonardo DiCaprio movie coming out, and they're talking about we shot in natural light, and here's me arrogantly thinking, well, we shot ours in natural light. Okay, it doesn't have a Hollywood A-list, actor, but it's just funny because I think a lot of people are starting to return to basics,
People are kind of stripping back again.
Yeah, and the equipment is allowing us to do that. Like the fact that you can, you don't need to, you can just turn on the digital camera and you can do what you have to do. And, the most important thing, and I know this is kind of, people talk about this ad nauseum, but it is the most important thing, I think, in cinema, and that is story, and characterization. And if you nail those two with, at least some kind of structure and the intent to tell the best story you can, regardless of what your budget or your lack of resources, whatever, you're going to do something special that's going to speak to people. So, and it'll have an air of sincerity that a lot of the other, productions won't have, because they have too much control, too much money, and they're waiting around too much. There's too much politics, interference, so. That's what I loved about making this, is that everybody, even our ensemble cast, even the young guys, were just brilliant. They just saw me giving 110%, so they thought, you know, we're going to do the same. We're going to be inspired to do the same. So they did.
I think that's a good lesson for anyone wanting to make a short film or a short film, a low budget film, but are just not sure if they'll pull it off.
That's true.
So the film's going to be screened for the very first time on Halloween night in Meeting-House Square.
Yes,
It'll be a nice atmosphere there, I would say.
Yeah, it'll be a cold, clammy atmosphere. And I'm sure it'll be super irreverent, the way only Dublin audiences can be. So it's slightly terrifying, but it's actually, you know, it's perfect for this movie. It's actually perfect because, you know, the way you're going to be feeling sitting in the meeting house is pretty much how we felt as we were making it. So,
Sean Garland, thanks very much.
Okay. Thanks, Ryan. Okay. Thanks, Ryan. Okay. Thanks, Ryan. Okay. Thanks, Ryan. Okay. Thanks, Ryan.